Hello and a very good evening to all of you. So you must be aware that we've started this series of doing the previous year paper of CUET exam that was conducted last year. So if you know, in the last two lives I discussed the RC section with you and some questions based on antonyms. We are going to discuss the non-RC area of previous year paper that was conducted on 17th of August. So we will see what kind of questions they can ask apart from the RC. So there were 3 passages with 6 questions each in the RC section. Apart from it, there were questions based on antonyms, synonyms, one-word substitution, idioms and phrases, and figures of speech. And yes, one more, that is parajumbles or sentence rearrangement. So without any further ado, let's begin with the session and see what kind of questions can you see in the CUET exam. Meanwhile, you all have to drop in your answers as long we go on doing the questions. So as you can see here, this is a question based on figures of speech. So figures of speech are devices that we use to beautify a language. They often have intended meanings, not the literal ones, but the intended meanings. And we have to identify which kind of figure of speech is used here. So to remind you, personification, simile, metaphor, metonymy, hyperbole are some of the figures of speech you would have heard or read about in your school time. So this is what these questions are about. If we look at the first one, I hope it's clearly visible to you. Both rye with the labored ease of loss, and there are 4 options available here. Can you people guess what figure of speech is used in this expression? You can call it figure of speech or literary device also. Yes, so what is the figure of speech used here? Have they used some kind of simile? We use simile when we do comparison between 2 things, an explicit comparison using the words as and like. But there is no such word here, so it cannot be simile. Is it personification? In this device, in personification, we give human attribution to a non-living thing. So, do you think there is anything that has been personified or given human attributes? Again, that is not true. So, we can cancel this out. Metaphor is also a comparison between 2 things, but there is no use of words like as and like. So, the comparison is a hidden one, an implicit one. So it's not even metaphor. The word that we are left with is oxymoron. It's a beautiful figure of speech, and to clarify what oxymoron is, when you use 2 contrasting words together, then it is known as an oxymoron. Like loving hate. So you cannot use the 2 words loving and hate together, but poets do it in poetic language. These are 2 opposite words put together. The contrasting words have been juxtaposed together in the same place. It is the use of oxymoron. Oxymoron is using 2 contrasting words together. So can you find out the 2 contrasting words here? Both rye with the labored ease. Anything that is labored, it would have had a lot of hard work in it. तो labored को और ease को यहाँ पर poet ने साथ में use किया है, juxtapose किया है, contrast किया है. It means it is an example of oxymoron. If you can either do something with ease or else you have to put in a lot of labor in it, how come you can put both? Right? These are 2 contrasting words, and because of this we can say it is oxymoron. Now when we are doing these, please write down all the definitions, all the figure of speech that you think is a new one for you. Write down the definitions. Moving on with the next one. This is an easy one. You would be able to answer this one. Far, far from gusty waves. So what figure of speech is used here? Let's see who's going to answer this one. Far, far from gusty waves. So do you think there is an oxymoron here? There are no contrasting words put together here. It cannot be oxymoron. There is no comparison using the word as or like. So it cannot be simile also. Personification. Do you think waves have been personified? No, they are not. So because waves are not given any human qualities, it is not personified. It means the right figure of speech is alliteration. To attempt these questions, you always have these 2 ways. One, either eliminate the option that you think cannot be the answer, or else otherwise if you already have the idea about the figure of speech, you can straight away go for it. So it is alliteration. Alliteration is a repetition of a sound in the neighboring words. So you can see the initial three words, they all have this F sound. So when there is a repetition of the same sound within the same sentence or a paragraph, it is known as alliteration. Moving on to the next one. The smiling young trees provided a strange comfort. Do you think there is an implicit or hidden comparison here? So smiling trees have not been compared to anything here. It cannot be a metaphor. There are no two opposite words or contrasting words put together. It cannot be an oxymoron. There is no direct comparison using as or like, so it cannot be a simile. It is personification. What is that human attribute that has been given to the trees? Trees, we know, is a non-living thing. So have you ever seen a tree smiling? No. This is a poetic language to further beautify the language. So smiling is a human attribute that we have given to the trees. Therefore, we have personified the tree. So done with these three. Let's move on with the rest of the question. One more question from figure of speech. Let's see who's going to answer this one. Come on, quickly drop in your answers. Now, I've already given you the definition of all of these. Let's see who's going to answer this one. Like angels from heaven, the paratrooper landed on the earth. Paratroopers are soldiers that use parachute while they jump from the plane or the helicopter. So, like angels from heaven, the paratrooper landed on the earth. Is there a comparison here? Yes, there is an explicit or direct comparison here. So these paratroopers are compared to angels. It means, and moreover the comparison is done using the word like. I told you whenever there is the use of these words as and like, it will be a simile. So the right answer should be simile for this one. So these two you already know. Pun is a kind of word play where more than one meaning imply. So you just use one phrase, but it will have double meanings. It's a kind of word play, an interesting one. You can look for some examples on Google related to pun. So it is not pun, there is no word play. There are no two intended meanings here. Alright, moving on with the next set of question, which is from the given option, select the one which correctly explains the expression. So these are the questions based on idioms and phrases. Just as we have kahawate and muhavre in Hindi, we have idioms and phrases in English, and they have some significant meaning. To be at sixes and sevens. What is the right answer to this? इस phrase का या इस idiom का क्या meaning है? क्या कोई guess कर सकता है? To be at sixes and seven. Let's see the options. To be a primary school student. Would that mean कि आप 6th या 7th class में हो? That is very naive explanation. A state of total confusion and disorder, to be certain of batting well in a cricket match, or to be certain of batting well in a cricket match. So just because it is sixes, would it be related to matches? Think of this. What is the right answer to this one? Drop in your answers, everyone. To be at sixes and sevens. So you can say when we started our preparation of the CUET exam, we were at sixes and sevens, which means we were completely confused or perplexed where to start from, how to carry on, how should I strategize the preparation. So the right answer would be a state of total confusion and disorder. Write down all these idioms and try to remember their meaning. You can even use them in your day-to-day speech. Once in a blue moon is a very common one, we all know. What is the meaning of once in a blue moon? Should it be most regularly, very often, very rarely, or once in a fortnight? So you can clearly see, if we do it by the elimination method, the first two options, they almost have similar meaning. आप most regularly कहोगे या very often कहोगे, it means the frequency is more. दो आंसर्स तो नहीं हो सकते इस क्वेश्चन के. इट मीन्स दोनों ही यहाँ पर गलत है. Once in a fortnight. So fortnight is 14 days or 2 weeks, you can say. The right answer this too should be very rarely. Once in a blue moon should be very rarely. So you can say my aunt who lives in New Zealand calls my mother once in a blue moon. So she rarely calls my mother. This was an example. Moving on to the next one, a wild goose chase. A wild goose chase. What would this idiom mean? Should it be a foolish and a useless enterprise to hunt wildlife, a violent chase of criminals, or to speak harshly? So there is again no shortcut to the idioms and phrases. You will have to learn it by the list. But there are some which we have heard. And in the CUET paper, there were relatively easy idioms used, of which you can guess the meaning also. If it is a wild goose and it's a wild goose chase, it would be something very difficult or something of which you cannot have any idea about. So it should be a foolish and useless enterprise, just as it is, let's say, foolish or futile, or it's not going to give any result. What? Chasing a wild goose. Similarly, the answer should be a foolish and a useless enterprise. Though you are chasing it, you are trying to make it work, but it won't work. So it would be a foolish and a useless enterprise. Moving on to the next one. To burn a hole in the pocket. What would the right meaning be? The right meaning of this. I'll show you the rest of the three options also. But before that, let me give you an example. You can say, to buy the latest iPhone, I had to burn a hole in my pocket. So there are certain hints always there. If it is related to somehow pocket, then it's related to the money, the pocket money, you can say. To steal from someone's pocket, if it is from someone's pocket, why would I use my own pocket, right? Should it be to destroy someone else's belonging, or to burn a dress accidentally, or to spend money very quickly? I gave you the example. To buy the latest iPhone, I had to burn a hole in my pocket, which means it should be to spend money very quickly. Okay, the next set of question is, I think, synonyms. Choose the word from the given option that is closest in meaning to the given word. If it is closest to meaning, it should be synonyms. So what is the meaning of the word pugnacious? What is pugnacious? Who do we call pugnacious? It's an adjective. So we call a person pugnacious if he's always ready to take up a fight. You can say he literally wears the gloves all the time and he's ready to fight over everything. It will be quarrelsome. It won't be rebellious, because if you are rebellious, you'll not necessarily fight over something. But if you are pugnacious, you are quarrelsome. What is the meaning of cling? So we would ask our friends, don't be clinged on this issue. Come on now, move on from the worry of this issue. So clinging on would be attaching oneself. So you can say, when I was young, I always clinged on to my mother whenever I saw the strangers. So we attach ourselves. We cling on to someone or something. It should be attached. What is the meaning of enchanting? So you can say, after a long day, looking at the sky was enchanting, or I mesmerized it, or you can say I admired looking at the enchanting sky. So one thing is clear, it's a positive connotation word. The right answer to this should be pleasant. It cannot be harmful, it cannot be comical, it should be pleasant, enchanting. The last one, gigantic. What would the word gigantic means? Should it be miniature, diligent, awkward, or monstrous? And the right answer to this one is monstrous. Something which has a great magnitude, which is huge and enormous, is gigantic. So it should be monstrous. Monstrous because it will have overpowering effects. It's very huge and scary. So it's monstrous. Now, the next set of questions. From the given option, select the one that will rightly substitute the given expression, which means these are one word substitution word. One word substitution. So here, an expression or a phrase will be given to you just like this, and you have to replace it with one word that rightly explains the same thing or stands for the same thing. So one thing we have seen almost from all the areas, they've given us 4 questions each, 4 of antonym, 4 of synonym, 4 of figures of speech, 4 idioms, and now 4 one word substitution also. Okay, period of 10 years would be, so we all know decimals place we have all read in our maths. So if you break it and look for the root word, the prefix D is related to 10. It should be a decade. A decade is a period of 10 years. So fortnight, you already know, I have told you fortnight is a period of 14 days or 2 weeks. A millennium is a period of 1000 years. And annuity is the money that you get every year. Moving on to the next one who loves and collects books. So again, if you can find out the root word, you'll be able to find the right answer. If it is books, we can say biblio is related to books, and phil is another root word which means love or inclination towards something. For example, if I say philanthropist, my father is a philanthropist, which means he loves mankind or humankind. He is benevolent and he works for the cause of mankind. So there in philanthropy, phil word told us that it is a positive word. Phil is a suffix or prefix. Wherever you use it, it can be a suffix or a prefix. You use it to show an inclination or love for something. Answer should be bibliophile. So bellicose or belligerent, or its meaning is aggressive. Bellicose is very aggressive. Bohemian is something that do not follow or do not adhere to the societal norms. So who does not work or behave according to the society's norm lives a lifestyle, a bohemian lifestyle. So the right answer we are left with is bibliophile. Okay, looking at the last 2 ones, the first is the killing of a newborn child. This you can consider to be your homework. You can make a word family, all the words related to killing. Killing of a king, killing of a father, killing of a mother, that is matricide. Killing of father is patricide, killing of king is regicide. It's your homework, you have to identify what is killing of brother and sister known as. So these all come under the one word substitution, and though I know it's a sea of words that you have to learn, but these killing words you should definitely do, because there are high chances of finding 1 or 2 questions in exam also. So it should be killing of a newborn child should be infanticide, because we know infant is a baby. A newborn baby is known as an infant. So it should be infanticide. Massacre is mass killing, and homicide is simply a murder. When a person kills other person, it is known as homicide. And massacre is mass killing of too many animals or humans. It's the killing is done on a large scale. It is known as massacre. Detailed plan of a journey. Let's say you are going for a trip or a journey and you've kept a detailed plan. What would you call it? Would you call it a passport, a travelogue, itinerary, or timetable? So there are only 2 close contenders here. It cannot be timetable or passport. These are the 2 close contenders we have. Now, travelogue is a kind of writing you do once you have already come back from your travel or from your journey. Then you write all the highlights of your journey. So it is something which is done after the journey. It is about detailed plan of journey. When would you make a detailed plan of journey? Before you embark on that journey. So it should be itinerary. I hope these words are clear to you, and I hope you got to learn a lot of new words today. Now, by looking at the form of the question, you can make out these are the analogy questions. Let me quickly explain you what analogy questions are. Analogy question will always be given to you in this form. A is to B. So there is always some relation between the element that we put in place of A and the element that we put in place of B. Our first step is to decode the relationship, And then the second step is to find out one more pair which has a similar kind of relationship. So by looking at this one, attach and detach. One thing is clear, if we decode the relationship, you can say attach is opposite in meaning to detach. Try to put one more pair in this also, the pair of the opposites. Should it be barren and fertile, timid and coward, ridiculous and funny, jealous and envious? Let's say you don't even know the meaning of detach, even then you can guess the right meaning by elimination method. Jealous and envious are similar words, so it cannot be the answer. हमें तो opposite words वाला pair ढूंढना है, ये similar words है. ऐसे ही timid और coward या cowardly भी similar word है, similar meaning. Similarly, ridiculous and funny भी synonym pair है. So these three are synonym pair. First is the only pair which is opposite in meaning. Barren and fertile. So barren is, you can say, which is infertile. Moving on to the next one. Medley and mixture. What kind of a relationship is this? Now you must be thinking, what is the meaning of medley? Medley is again a mixture of various things. So इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि ये दोनों भी synonyms हैं. It's a pair of synonyms. Now, in the option you have iterate and repeat, chorus and fine. A thing either can be fine or it can be chorus, a rugged one. So these are opposite. हम इसको eliminate कर सकते हैं. ऐसे ही abundance, which is great in amount or quantity, is opposite of scarcity. Scarcity होता है किसी चीज की कमी होना. तो ये दोनों भी opposite हैं, पर हमें तो synonym वाला pair ढूंढना है. So the right answer should be iterate or repeat. Iterate का meaning भी यही होता है किसी चीज को repeat करना. And the last one was retreat and advance. What do you think the right meaning to this should be? Yeah, triumph and failure उसी का fourth option था previous question का, which is again opposite, but हमें synonym ढूंढना था. Alright, let's see who's going to answer this one now. We have practiced enough questions. Drop in your answers for this one. Retreat करना or advance करना. What is the relation between the two, A and B, if I name them? These are opposite word. When you retreat, you take a step back. Or when you advance, you make the effort to start something. तो ये फिर से opposite हुए या antonyms हुए. Opposite words. So first is garrulous and talkative. Garrulous का मतलब होता है talkative. Garrulous, talkative, loquacious, these are all the words we use for a talkative person. So these are similar words. We can eliminate it. Oblivion and forgetfulness. Oblivion is when you are in complete ignorance, you can say. You are not aware of that thing. So they are also in a way similar kind of word. तो ये भी आंसर नहीं होगा. Savage and civilized. Savage होता है wild. Civilized, you already know, it is opposite to civilized. So this is our right answer. Savage होता है again wild, and civilized is which follows the societal norms or which already know how to behave. What is the civil conduct? What should it be for a person? तो ये दोनों opposite हुए in meaning. It should be the right answer. Moving on to this one. Obstinate and stubborn. Again, you can say these are similar kind of words. Obstinate का मतलब होता है stubborn. Moving on to the last one, meek and modest. Should it be, first of all, meek and modest, are they similar kind of word or opposite kind of words? They are synonyms, similar kind of words. अब हमें एक और pair ढूंढना है जो synonyms हों. Blunt and sharp are opposite. Blunt will not have a pointed edge. A sharp will always have. Finally and eventually are almost same words. Clever and stupid are opposite. And condemn and approve. What is the meaning of this? So what should the right answer be here? So condemn and again approve will be opposite words. So what should the right answer be? आपको कौन से दो word ऐसे लग रहे हैं जो completely opposite हैं? It should be blunt and sharp. Eventually and finally, clever and stupid, condemn and approve. Which is the only pair which is a pair of synonyms? It should be finally and eventually. Right? ये दोनों भी ऑपोजिट है. क्लेवर और स्टूपिड भी ऑपोजिट होता है. किसी को कंडेम करना मतलब किसी को यू कैन से रेप्रिमांड करना या saying talking about it in negative sense. And approve, उसको approval देना. So what should the right answer be here? It should be finally and eventually. From the given option, select the right spelt word. So words can come on the basis of spelling also. Try to answer this one. Try to answer this one, the first one. If I have to pronounce it for you, the pronunciation is catastrophic. So catastrophic is something which is destructive. The right spelling is this one. CATASTROPHIC, which means destructive. So nuclear weapon testing can be catastrophic or destructive, you can say. The next word, communism, which adheres to the communist beliefs. The right spelling is this one. COMMUNISM. Moving on to the next question. Cooperative, we all know, or we already know the spelling of it should be. Yes, let us see who's going to answer this one. These are the easy questions. Come on. What should the right spelling of cooperative be? It should be this one, cooperative. When you cooperate with a person, the adjective used for will be cooperative. Next is pneumonia. We all know the spelling of pneumonia starts with P because P is silent, so we read it PNEUMONIE. It should be pneumonia. I hope you could see that vocabulary plays a very significant role in this exam. Be it your antonym synonym questions, be it your one word substitution, or be it your analogy and spelling question. Almost 5 to 6 areas are based on vocabulary. I hope you see the significance of learning new words, accumulating new words into your vocabulary. I hope this gave you some idea about how English language paper of CUET can be. With this, let's consider it a wrap for today. If you have any suggestions for us, you may put it in the chat box. If you want me to come up with explanation of other papers, we can do that also. Thank you so much. Study well, prepare well, and always